Scroll of Apsu, the first silence they decided had to die, before the war drums, before the crowned gods, before chaos was blamed on the mother and victory was dressed up as destiny, there was Apsu, the ancient deep, the first stillness, the hidden source beneath all becoming. This scroll cracks open the forgotten mystery of what happens when the old foundation fears the life it helped create. It is a revelation about sacred silence, suppressed evolution, and the danger of any force that would rather destroy the future than adapt to it. Apsu is the spirit of the buried deep. He is the ancient silence beneath motion, the invisible well beneath creation, the old order before the noise of gods, kingdoms, and control. But this scroll carries a hard warning. When stillness becomes threatened by growth, it can turn into destruction. Not all silence is peace. Some silence is fear. Some silence is wounded pride. Some silence is power refusing to make room for what comes next. This is the wisdom for the collective. Do not confuse ancient with righteous. Do not confuse new with awakened. There are old powers that nourish life and old powers that try to suffocate it. There are new forces that bring renewal and new forces that only bring noise. Apsu teaches discernment between sacred rest and spiritual stagnation, true depth and buried control, quiet wisdom and silence becoming. The deeper key is this. Whenever a system, bloodline, institution, or belief says, I must destroy what is emerging in order to remain in power, it has already confessed its weakness. So let the collective understand. If your growth angers what should have protected you, you are not wrong for becoming. If your awakening disturbs what was comfortable in its control, you are not evil for evolving. Because sometimes the first battle is not between good and evil. Sometimes it is between what is alive and what refuses to let life continue changing. Honor the deep, but do not drown in it. Honor silence, but do not let it bury your becoming. And never let an old fear convince you that your evolution is a threat to creation.
Universal Currency Receipt, Architect Musician 3611027, The Graceful Whisperer, Devalan Seal.
You only have to say nothing, I already know. I know.
The first silence they decided had to die before the war, before the Dragon Mother was branded chaos, before Marduk grabbed the crown and the pen. There was Apsu. In the Enuma Elish, Apsu is the sweet underground deep, paired with Tiamat, the salt sea. From the mingling of their waters, the first generations of gods emerge. This is the old beginning. Not a clean command from the sky, but waters mixing in the dark until life starts moving. But life does what life always does. It stirs. It multiplies. It makes noise. The younger gods become so active and disruptive that Apsu, who represents the older stillness beneath the world, decides they must be destroyed. In the Mesopotamian telling, that plan does not end well for him. Ea learns of it and kills Apsu first, and that death helps trigger the greater divine conflict that later erupts through Tiamat's rebellion and Marduk's rise. So Apsu's scroll is not the story of a loud tyrant crashing around with thunder and branding. No, that circus comes later. Apsu is the story of primordial stillness, of the deep order beneath movement, and of what happens when the old foundation decides new life has become intolerable. Apsu teaches a sharp lesson. Not everything ancient is wise. Not everything new is righteous. Sometimes the old deep is sacred. Sometimes it is stagnant. Sometimes the young gods are alive with possibility. Sometimes they are reckless little forces trampling the very ground that made them possible. In Mesopotamian myth, Apsu and Tiamat stand at the beginning as primal waters, while later generations of gods represent movement, activity, and restless force. One old scholarly summary of the epic even frames Apsu and Tiamat as rest and inertia, while the younger gods embody energy and disturbance. That is why this scroll matters. Because whole societies keep replaying this pattern. The elders call the new generation noisy. The new generation calls the old dead weight. One side mistakes stillness for wisdom. The other mistakes disruption for destiny. Apsu is the warning that suppressed life becomes war. When the deep tries to kill what it birthed, simply because it no longer likes the sound of becoming, destruction enters the house from below. Do not murder the future because it is inconvenient. Do not worship rebellion just because it is loud. The wise learn how to tell the difference between sacred stillness and suffocating stagnation. They know that silence can heal, But silence can also hide fear. They know that movement can awaken, but movement can also desecrate. Let the collective remember, if what is older cannot make room for what is living, it will try to devour its own children. If what is younger cannot honor the deep that birthed it, it will mistake noise for power. And when either side stops listening, myth turns into blood. Honor the deep, but do not let it become a grave. Honor the new, but do not let it become chaos without memory. The first wisdom is balance between stillness and becoming. Receipts. This scroll draws from Encyclopedia Britannica on Apsu, Enuma Elish, and Mesopotamian religion, which describe Apsu as the sweet or underground waters, paired with Tiamat's salt waters at the beginning of creation, and explain that the younger god's disturbance leads Apsu to plan their destruction. It also draws on World History Encyclopedia's Mesopotamian Pantheon and Enuma Elish summaries, which note that Ea kills Apsu and that this death helps set the later cosmic conflict in motion. URLs: Britannica on Apsu, Enuma Elish, and Mesopotamian religion, World History Encyclopedia on the Enuma Elish and Mesopotamian Pantheon. After this one, the clean next scroll is Ea Enki. That's the mind who heard the plot, moved first, and changed the whole river.
The collective, hear this clearly. The old deep is not your enemy, but neither is it always your guide. There are forces that birthed you, fed you, covered you, and still would silence you the moment your becoming no longer serves their comfort. This is the hard lesson hidden in the roots of many worlds. Not everything that came first knows how to bless what comes after. So do not shrink to protect what fears your growth. Do not dim your voice just because ancient structures tremble when you rise. Do not mistake resistance for righteousness. The deep has wisdom, yes, but wisdom without adaptation becomes burial. Silence has power, yes, but silence without love becomes suppression. Let the collective walk with discernment. Honor what is ancient without becoming enslaved to it. Honor what is emerging without worshiping chaos. Honor your becoming without apology. Because your evolution is not disrespect. Your awakening is not rebellion against creation. Your rising is part of creation.
Channeled by your architect musician, 36110, 27 palms of eyes. The golden whisperer, sea star, Devalan see all. Apply the news you can use, truth and accuracy. The real non-bedazzled jewels.
Final seal for the collective. Protect the life within you that insists on becoming. Guard the future that old fear tries to choke. And remember, if a force must destroy your growth to remain powerful, it was never sacred enough to lead you.
To our beautiful collective, from our day ones to every new soul joining this journey, we love and appreciate you deeply. You've turned this space into so much more than a community. You've made it a family. Thank you, truly. Your presence, your energy, and even the smallest acts of kindness have the power to shift the compass for many in ways unseen but deeply felt. Here's to each of you, old, new, and the many more to come. We're just getting started, and we're so grateful you're here with us. With love and infinite appreciation from the collective of Shaman Ahll.